Welcome back to the inaugural JNS International Policy Summit, hosted here at the Waldorf Astoria in the heart of Jerusalem. I'm Ariella Novak, journalist and co-founder of Shields Communications PR and Bottom Line Media. I'm excited to be podcasting throughout the afternoon at this historic event. I now have beside me Lieutenant Colonel Reserves Sarit Zehavi, who is the founder and president of the Alma Research and Education Center, which provides geopolitical insights in the Middle East, and a member of the Forum Devora. She is a leading voice on national security, military intelligence in Israel. Given your deep experience in these areas, I'd like to ask you a few questions, actually maybe more than a few. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, let's get right into it. What developments on Israel's northern border, especially involving Hezbollah, pose the greatest concern, and how is the IDF responding?
So I will answer a question in the current events, what's going on after the war, because it was a different ballgame before.
Yes, before and after.
Yeah. So the biggest problem or the biggest challenge now is to make sure that Hezbollah is not recovering, because Iran
is not recovering.
They are trying daily, as we speak, in civilian aspects and military aspects, to rebuild their power in South Lebanon and elsewhere in Lebanon. And that's the main challenge, to make sure that this is not happening. It means that you see daily attacks of the IDF against Hezbollah military operatives, commanders, warehouses, and smuggling of weapons, in order to make sure that Hezbollah will not be capable of going back to what it used to be in October 6th.
Yes, daily we do see these updates where the IDF has bombed a specific target. Everything is extremely specific.
Yes.
Now tell me a little bit about the Alma Research Center. What does it do, and what are the objectives?
So I established Alma about a decade ago in order to create a platform of knowledge about Israel's security challenges on the northern border to people outside of Israel. Alma speaks mainly English. Yes. I understood that there is lack of information in this.
Yep.
What happened along the way is that we found out that since we are using kind of intelligence-based diplomacy, and we are using open source information mainly from Arabic, we are having news not only for outside of Israel but also inside of Israel.
That's great.
Our views are interesting, and our analysis is interesting for everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Now tell me, what are the major challenges up north that you're seeing daily now?
I think that the most important thing is to make sure that the monster doesn't grow again, either with Hezbollah in Lebanon or with what is happening now in Syria. The fact that you have the head of Al-Qaeda in Syria, that is now the president of Syria, doesn't mean necessarily, it's a little bit of good news with regard to its fight against Hezbollah, but it also can be very dangerous if we will not make sure that this guy is not putting his hands on Western ammunition. That's why you see on both fronts presence of the IDF in Lebanon and in Syria, and in both fronts preemptive attacks, proactive approach. Some of the core lessons that were learned from October 7th are being implemented in those fronts to make sure that we are dealing with capabilities. We don't wait to see what will happen with intentions. This is extremely important.
And if we can just discuss also the people of the north. Are they, if you don't mind giving me a little background, where are they still displaced? Are they back home?
Okay, so since March 1st, and actually the beginning of March, they started to come back since the government stopped the compensation. In general, it's about half, and I'm not giving you accurate numbers
because we're just speaking in totality.
Yeah, and it varies from community to community. Bear in mind that we had 43 communities that were evacuated with 60,000 people.
And how long would you say they were evacuated as an
For
overall?
a year and a half.
Exactly the whole time.
For a year and a half, the damages are huge, not only because of Hezbollah's rockets, but also because of the fact that the houses were empty for a very long time. And I want to say something else. The north is not only the evacuated area.
Okay.
Like, I live 9 kilometers from the border. There are challenges for the populations that were not evacuated but still experienced the war.
There must be, of course.
Like, there is 0 to 5, which is the evacuation area. There is 5 to 10, which is the area that was not evacuated but still bombed. There are tons of challenges in this. We need to bring the people back home. Now is the time to go back home. There are many civilian movements that are doing that are working to bring the young people and the young families back home. And the fact that the women, the mothers, can see Israeli flags on the other side of the border is highly crucial to build the confidence and the trust of the people to be back home. And in some of these communities, it's a long process. In those
It
communities
must be.
which
It's
are
nothing that happens overnight like this. No way.
yes, and in those communities which are really next to the border, it's going very slowly. And bear in mind that these
How
communities
can we better support the people of the North?
first come. Like
Yalla, let's go.
that's very basic. Just come and visit us, because when you come, tourism business will flourish.
Okay.
So it's so important. And second, encourage the young families to come and buy and establish and rebuild. There is so much work to be done, and there are so many foundations that are working in this in so many levels, from education to business, to just rebuilding
Of
and cleaning
course,
the
yes.
communities. Every little help counts.
Now, given the complex security environment in the Middle East, how can Israel enhance its intelligence capabilities to stay ahead of emerging threats, particularly in the northern border?
To tell you the truth, and I'm saying that
Because
as
I
the-
don't know this answer. Maybe you do.
Look, I was the head of the alert desk in the Northern Command many years ago, just after the previous war. Eventually, if you have an enemy right at the border, the leverage of alert is
Yeah.
very, very small.
Okay.
So the main contribution of intelligence today is to give the army the capability to eliminate
The threat.
every try of rehabilitation of Hezbollah's capabilities. That's it. We can no longer look at intentions, trying to think what's going on this leader's mind or the other one.
Of course. No.
This is game over. Now we are looking at capabilities. Wherever intelligence is identifying Hezbollah activity, the IDF is taking care of that, either with the international mechanism and the Lebanese army, or without it, and that's fine. This is how it should work.
Now, in my closing here, I do have a very important question. How does the Alma Research and Education Center collaborate with the governmental and international bodies to ensure that Israel's security concerns are addressed on a global stage?
Look, I was an intelligence officer, so my mission is to provide intelligence. My mission is to provide information. I truly believe that once information is provided and a high quality analysis is
To
provided
the right people.
to the whatever, by the way, not necessarily Israelis. As I've told you, I established Alma for global, yes, for outside. Once this information is provided, the professionals would know what to do. But that's the key. If you don't have information, if people don't know what's going
Then
on,
it's freezing. Correct.
yeah. So that's why my mission is to make sure that I provide the accurate, the relevant, the accessible information, a lot of visuals to the right people.
Well, I'm with you. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here.
Thank
JNS
you.
appreciates you participating today. And
you.
thank you so much for joining us at home. We look forward to bringing you more participants, more experts. Stay tuned.